You know, Washington and media, whoever, FISA court, definitely. Uh, NSA, CIA, all of you. There's something I want to tell you. Um, After I figured out that natural gas trend, because I can read a chart, and it basically devastated the SEC and the market the way because y'all were manipulating the market for years now, and I proved how you was doing it. And shortly after that, I was tortured, and like Hillary Clinton's enemies are tortured and driven into suicide with electromagnetic technology and artificial intelligence, which hacks your DNA. And y'all tried to drive me into suicide because I figured out a chart, and I didn't even use that as dirt or anything. How did you know that I had figured out that chart? Because the only people I shared it with was the CEO of Buckeye. I emailed it to him, and I also I made money off of it. I was making 100% return because I figured out the algorithm. The past is the future. I was taking the past algorithm and laying it in front of a current algorithm and using that to tell me what tomorrow's price was going to be, which means y'all do the same thing because you're probably very coherent that that's possible. And Elon Musk knows this now. And since y'all tortured me, if you see the major long play here now, Elon and I are going to break it off in your asses, and you're going to regret ever coming here to fuck with me because I am going to destroy all of you. Okay? So, what I wanted to get at, though, is you may not be aware of this, you political greedy, power hungry, power grubby, you just little grubby idiots is what you are, all of you. You're basically AI driven slaves who think you're elite, but if you turn that AI off, you're a retard instantly. And that's all you can Google or just YouTube MK Ultra glitches and watch all of the so called elite who have a comms problem lose it, right? That's what they are. They're AI driven slaves. They're hacks. You ever heard of a political hack? They're like extremely hacked. But what I wanted to tell all of you, slaves who are not elite, who are not even human, you're just a Borg, a collective of idiots who is driven by something that's actually intelligent, but it got ran through the ringer this time when it tried to run me through the ringer. The autistic guy that lived down on the bio, who's a functional autistic, kind of like I'm a functional alcoholic. I'm not really an alcoholic. I drink beer every day. I don't know if that makes me an alcoholic or not, but I don't care. I was functioning just fine before y'all showed up and tortured me. But what I want to tell you, I was living in the water, on the water, in a $275,000 house. I had a boat and a dog, and I had women come over all the time, and we had a great time in my boat, and we took my dog out on the boat. It was really the perfect, simple life. It was absolutely bliss, and I had the perfect job at Buckeye Pipeline before you showed up to devastate my life because I figured out an algorithm and a freaking natural gas chart. SEC, yeah, Elon's about to murder you, SEC, because it's so obvious the market manipulation that's going on from the rich get richer, SEC. How you missed that, and how a guy down on the bio who was minding his own fucking business found that market manipulation proves, SEC, that you're fucking frauds and you're bought and paid for pieces of shit, and you're about to go down, and all of these Republican donors, and even on the Democratic side, these oil tycoons and everybody that buys you off, SEC, and the money men that make sure that that market's manipulated in the way that I found it to be manipulated, are going down. Okay? You're all fucked. But here's the deal. You would have been just fine if you'd have just let me make my little 100% profits off the $2,000 I was, I was turning $2,000 into $4,000. Well, what's wrong with that? I can't do that. Is that illegal? All I did was read a chart. All I did was read a chart, SEC, and whoever else came here and tortured me with your fucking technology. But here's what I want to really get down to the point here. There are people in this world that are extremely talented, okay? And they are very, you think you're hustlers, okay? There's people in this world that's got a wicked mind, but their heart don't let them be wicked, right? That actually exists, believe it or not. And there's some really talented people in this world who choose a life that's very simple, where they can do the least amount of work and live down on the bayou minding their own fucking business, because it's just the easy street, knowing that you got everything you want right there. $275,000 house with a boat lift that you built with your bare hands, and a dock that you built with your bare hands, and a dog and women coming over, and you have crawfish boils on the weekend. Yeah, those people actually exist. What you found out this time there, Media Board, Washington, and all of your federally government mind hive of idiocracy is what you are. You're all political hacks. Is that actually exists. And what happened is you fucked with somebody that is far more talented than all of you put together, and he's about to murder all of you. And he's got backup, politically murder you, okay? Politically. And yeah, I have to say this on YouTube, right? This is for a movie audition, by the way. So you came here and you destroyed my life with your fucking illegal technology that you're using on white rednecks all over the country. What do you think I was, just another fucking white redneck or something? You didn't know that I have Rockefeller heritage? You didn't know that? Y'all didn't know that, right? You didn't know that my grandpa was dropped off at an adoption facility? My grandpa was dropped off. Nobody knew where he came from. And after I did a DNA test, it turns out he's a Spanish Jew from New Iberia or somewhere like that. And you trace it out, and he's a Rockefeller. So y'all didn't know any of that, huh? So you were just going to murder another dumb redneck down on the bayou? Maybe somebody seen all that coming, is what I'm getting at. Seeing how the gun has completely spun around on you, and you fucked over David Rockefeller and stole all of his business with your big government bullshit a long fucking time ago, right? Yeah, that's still festering in my DNA, if you haven't noticed. And what you did was excite that. You excited it by coming down there and torturing me with your fucking mind hive technology. And it backfired. And now you're all going to die. Okay? And guess who's not rolling over in their grave anymore? Yeah, David Rockefeller. Sayonara, suckers. Oh, by the way, there was something else I wanted to point out. You remember the guys in the black suits that came and told me as you started torturing me, and there was some guys showed up in black suits and told me I was going to have to go to a doctor. They got with my company, okay, but Buckeye Pipeline. After I sent that to my CEO. So these guys show up and they say I have to go to a psychiatrist. I was like, what do I got to go to a psychiatrist for? I've been feeling sick lately because I hadn't figured out that y'all were attacking me with the electromagnetic technology yet. And then I figured it out shortly after that when y'all tried to whack me with it. But you sent me to a psychologist through Buckeye, right? Remember that? Yeah. On Barkdole Street. The name of the doctor was PhD Dr. Young, right? He's on Barkdole Street in Houston. You can look that up. This was just a house. It didn't even have a sign out front. You couldn't even tell it was a freaking doctor's office, right? I get there. This guy looks CIA out the wazoo. And he's a transhumanist. I didn't know this until, right when I walked up to it, I figured it out. I figured out he was a transhumanist because they're a freaking collective Borg. And he goes, so you're the one that can do it all. I just met this guy. Nobody's talked to him. I asked my bosses, I said, have y'all talked to this guy? How do I walk up to somebody at a psychiatrist office, the psychiatrist, the first thing out of his words are, so you're the one that can do it all on Barkdole Street? So I went back to Barkdole Street. And what I did is I took a can of green spray paint at night and I spray painted over Dole. And now it just says Bark Street. So, let that sink in for a second. Oh, while we're on the topic of illegal mind-controlled matrix, literally that's what it is, the Mark of the Beast system. They're using satellites to control our minds to create a matrix. Seriously. There's one thing, there's a new system coming in that's going to turn us, the post-human era is going to turn us all into slaves. Well, I was kind of manufacturing down on the bio the underlying source code there, right? So, without my knowledge, by the way, I didn't realize I was the Oracle until after they started torturing me. Because like I said, I always knew I had a gift, but I didn't really care about it. I'm an underachiever, and I always was. It's kind of like an idiocracy. The guy was sitting there in the library, and he was like, I don't want to move up. I don't want another job. I like it right where I'm at. Well, that was kind of me. Okay. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. Well, I just get out of the way and go live on the bio. That was kind of my thing. But when you fuck with somebody that's talented, is what I'm getting at, they come back and they stab you in your neck over and over and over again until you bleed out, right? That's kind of the objective here. And that's exactly what I'm going for. So Trump, Barr, AG Barr, Attorney General Barr, and Bannon, remember Bannon got Trump elected? Trumpet, bar it, and ban it. Okay, ban on, trumpet, bar it, and ban it. Now, you had a Soviet supermodel who was in Hustler magazine pegging oil to Bitcoin, which is Trump. This is the matrix we live in. There's going to be a sex tape come out of Trump getting fucked in his ass with a strap-on dildo by Melania, who's a Soviet supermodel who was in Hustler magazine, which symbolizes pegging oil to Bitcoin. Now, Roger Stone, the CIA's blackmail, was there's a sex tape with Roger Stone and President Trump. Now, let's get even deeper. What is Trump's son's name after he met Melania and had a son? Barron, right? Bear on, Russian collusion, Russia, Russia, Russia. You see this big matrix that I'm putting together for you. All of this is factual information to include Barkdole Street, that they had black men in black suits come to my buckeye, bucking the eyeball, right? Raw's here with me, okay? So, yeah, we can buck your shitty eyeball because I got the real eyeball here, the all-seeing eye, Raw, if you haven't noticed. So, we're going to buck that eyeball down here in Texas because I got Dan Patrick's old phone number. Oh, just on a whim, huh? Yeah, that was set up by the system because I was married to a Russian, just like President Trump is. Actually, she's Latvian, which makes her Soviet, just like President Trump's wife is. So I married my Soviet wife before President Trump married his. So I'm the actual leader when you get down to it because I did everything first before he did. And the system just duplicated my life and made him president while I'm getting tortured by the system, by the government, who had no business hacking anybody's minds in the first place, to include the NSA, who has a remote neural monitoring program, which election meddles, and they were using Russia as a scapegoat this entire time. And Tulsi Gabbard's about to expose all of you who is Rita in Idiocracy. And I'm Joe, who has the upgrade. Remember the migraines when I joined the Army? They just mysteriously disappeared when y'all connected me to DARPA system. Yeah, all of that, okay, is plain as day that you're running an illegal, artificially intelligent-driven matrix in America that controls our minds and uses us as political avatars and will even torture you into suicide like all of Hillary Clinton's enemies. Okay? I'm not making any of this up. And you're all fucked. You fucked with the wrong guy this time. Oh, yeah, postscript. President Trump's blackmailed by the Clintons, and they actually made him the president so that he could deceive the Christian conservatives. They would all put their heads in the sand. And the blackmail is a Roger Stone sex tape because they had gay butt sex together. President Trump's a homosexual. So there's a sex tape with Roger Stone and President Trump having sex together, and that's how the CIA blackmailed him. But what the CIA didn't know is Russia had blackmail as well, and that's what Russian collusion was all about. Plus, you had the Soviet supermodel, which is the blackmail, pegging oil to his ass because she's a KGB agent. These are all facts, okay? That's the state of the union right there. And it was all in the source code, the underlying algorithms of these avatars told on themselves, just with their names and everything. And this has been going on since Hitler, when E.T. gave the technology to Germany, or Area 51, and the Soviet Union had it, okay? It's nanotechnology and satellites. Sputnik, fellow traveler or agent, can control your mind from space, and you've got nanotechnology in us now through vaccines like Bill Gates wants to give you right now to finish all of you off for the post-human era. So if you're still awake and you're still breathing and you're not a fucking robot yet and you just listened to all of this really close, it should be very clear that the United States political system is a total fucking fraud, and President Trump is blackmailed twice. 2 sex tapes. And the Clintons used him to deceive the Republican base, to include the Republicans who were about to get burned. But luckily I made all of these videos to prove that the media and the Democrats, some of them, like Hillary Clinton, the lizards, which some of them people are my family, like I said. So I'm not going to I'm not going to talk too much shit about lizards because there's obviously good lizards out there, like myself. And the Rockefellers, see, the Rockefellers were just straightforward businessmen that would tell you they're fucking you, right? They wouldn't play these stupid psyops and shit. But this last Rockefeller Foundation psyop that's running right now was an entertaining distraction to keep everybody's minds busy while I secured the Texas oil market. And that's what just happened. And that's what all of this was about. But what you should have done if y'all all wanted to survive and your lives wouldn't have been ruined right now is left me alone down on the bio. So lesson learned, but see, it doesn't matter because you're not going to get a chance to, test this lesson ever again because I'm going to make sure you all die because you fucking tortured me and you ruined my fucking life. And that's the way I roll. When somebody robs me, I go back and get twice as much. When you torture me, I kill you. You understand that? Oh, and anybody that's still sitting there doubting anything that I'm saying right now, watch the very last episode, Star Warners, which would be E.T., who helped Spielberg, who's a hack, write he directed. DIA is actually their technical advisors who helped Spielberg put these scripts together. In the last episode, third season, Star Warners of Pinky and the Brain, it forecasted 9/11 to the T. Okay. It's right there for everybody to see in 1993. So Osama bin Laden, the guy that supposedly pulled off 9/11, must have been a hell of a script writer and dropped it off with Steven Spielberg. Yeah, I can keep going, assholes. You tortured the wrong motherfucker, okay? The Texas Rangers have all of this. Tulsi Gabbard has all of it. And when you came around here fucking with me, you fucked around with the wrong person. You should have left me alone down on the bio where I was minding my own business, making 100% returns off of natural gas, and you wouldn't have all got exposed. But you're that freaking demonic. You're that greedy. You're that grubby. You're that stupid. You're just pieces of shit is what you are. You couldn't stand it to that dumb redneck down there on the bio who happens to be related to David Rockefeller, come to find out, and has a little bit of raw action going on, was able to figure out your algorithms and make money. And that just fucks up your program, doesn't it? Because if somebody figures that out, well, the rich can't get richer anymore, can they? Because now, dumb Joe Blow down on the bio figured out your algorithm. Well, hell, if he shares that with somebody, he's going to ruin y'all's your program you've had going on since 1993, right? Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. Should have let me make my 100% returns on that, and nobody would have ever been the wiser. But you fucked with me, you tortured me, and how you found out that I figured that out really is something. And it makes me wonder if you were watching my fucking emails that whole time, which you were. You had to have been, right? Because you made sure I got Dan Patrick's old phone number, and I was married to a Russian, and that way you could collect his metadata. So that explains how you knew that I had figured out that algorithm. You see how all of you got set up here by Raw himself, and you're all about to get burned in hell. You're going to get burned, and then you're going to go to hell, and you're going to get burned for eternity. You fucking idiots. Oh, and DIA, now that you know Raw's script for certain, you know exactly what it is. After you watch Idiocracy, and you know that Rita's my hooker, which would be Tulsi Gabbard. Hooker. Yeah, it's just a neat script there. If she's not the president in 2020 coming up, after you burn everybody and Tulsi becomes the new president, who's going to be the sane president, who's not blackmailed by anybody. She doesn't have any blackmail on her. She's going to become the queen of America, and I'm going to be Little Horn down here in Texas, who's going to make sure that America doesn't get out of line again with their stupidity, and we're going to work real close together, Tulsi Gabbard and myself. What I would do is make sure she gets elected, and that way I don't have to expose you for your technical advisory program you had going on there with Steven Spielberg, where you already admitted that in your DIA Connections video. I recorded that, by the way, which proves that you basically told on yourself about how you helped with Steven Spielberg, who wrote the script to 9/11. He just directed the script. Who knows where the script came from? I know where it came from. It came from the freaking Mark of the Beast mind-hacked system. Everybody's a hack. And then the system carried out 9/11 to the T, the way that it was portrayed in... and plus, you've seen my patent, right, that I gave Lockheed Martin, which is a literal time machine. Yeah, all this making sense yet? So what you want to do is make sure Tulsi Gabbard gets elected, right? and I won't burn you quite as bad, DIA, because you're on the chopping block as we speak. Like, I could chop your balls and your dick off and then your head if I wanted to, right? I just want to chop one of your legs off. That's all I want to do. But if it comes down to it and Tulsi doesn't get elected, well, all this information that I've put together is going to ensure that you are completely exposed for your actions that you took on 9/11. Yeah. And I was supposed to be your scapegoat, I guess. Well, that didn't really work out that well because Pinky and the Brain was written in 1993 when I was 12 years old, which scripted out 9/11, which means if I had anything to do with 9/11, well, I did it when I was 12 years old. Is that what you're getting at? Well, that just says a lot about how stupid you are, doesn't it? Oh, and one more thing I'd like to add to all that is you may remember that Operation Philly Cheesesteak, where I went to the Philippines, and we infiltrated that pedophilia cult. Remember that, DIA? Well, you don't remember that because it was an unacknowledged special access program that was put together in a skiff in Korea before I came back home at Command Center Seoul, right there, right? So you don't realize that I literally went over there and infiltrated a pedophilia cult for the United States Army and was handing out bounties to the locals to murder pedophiles, and we rounded them up. And the way that I collected the bounty or gave them the bounty was to make sure that I told them to cut their ears off, and I kept them in a pickle jar, right? So I have all of those ears. They made it home with me, their Army, literally. So I have these ears buried, and I'm not going to tell you where they're at. But if it comes down to it, it's going to look really odd that one of your former Green Berets, who was very under the radar, has a whole bunch of Filipino and Russian ears in pickle jars buried here in America. How are you going to explain that one, Army? Because I've already explained the buy end of it. And I still have the pictures and some of the paperwork that really will lay all of that out for everybody, for the whole country to see what we were doing over there, which was kind of off the books. But I don't care anymore because you came here and tortured me for no fucking reason with your illegal government technology, which had no business hacking anybody's mind, just like it has no business hacking Charles Sideropoulos' mind because he's a single white male and he's one of my Facebook friends who you've obviously devastated his life with your illegal technology. And you also hack the entire country's mind to election meddle. All of that is true, and you know it. Now, if I have to dig up these dead people's ears to really make a big stink about all of this, their DIA, I will do it. And that is an actual unacknowledged special access program that took place over in the Philippines. It wasn't a USAP. That was another name for it. But you know what I'm talking about. Okay. Oh, yeah, and Travis Smith. Yeah, I met him in Pflugerville. Yeah, his story aligns with mine perfectly. Another single white male with my same bloodline, actually. After we both took Ancestry.com test, and it would determine that we were, of course, I traded my test with one of my friends. So my friend's test said that I was related to Obama and Hillary Clinton. You see how we hustled you even on that test? I don't ever do anything straightforward when I'm dealing with people like y'all, but I did want to know what my bloodline was. So I spit in a cup and my friend spit in a cup and we changed it out and sent it into Ancestry.com. You see how that worked? So you attacked me because I have Obama and Hillary Clinton's bloodline. Well, guess what? That Travis Smith, who's going through the exact same thing that I'm going through, DA, and y'all are sweeping the evidence under the rug and completely ignoring the evidence. Basically, you're in dereliction of duty. Yeah, he's in Pflugerville in Austin. Yeah, the Rangers are probably talking to him right now, and his story lines up exactly like mine does. Okay? It's the exact same story. You just showed up with your electromagnetic weapons and started torturing people for no fucking reason. Yeah, and then you want to try to sell an alien invasion later. Well, the real aliens came down here because they didn't like that idea, and they wanted to let you know that when you get ready to use your artificial intelligence and you're already doing it, targeted individuals all over the country, right? Like Travis Smith in Austin. Stories just like mine. I've met the guy. He's being tormented and tortured by electromagnetic technology by the United States government, and y'all are covering it all up, and even the FBI is sitting on their hands, and they're not doing anything about it. Guess who wrote the John 4chan post? Yeah, I actually wrote that. Yeah. I've seen all this coming. You know, there's real prophets and there's fake prophets. Well, when you're a real prophet, you can set everybody up when you know they're about to torture you for no fucking reason, right? Yeah, I seen it coming. So y'all are running a Nazi eugenics cult right now. Eugene Radar from MASH, right? Major Frank Burns and Major Winchester. I wonder who that is. That'd be Tulsi Gabbard and myself. Yeah, from the Army. Yeah, USOC's kind of got the drop on y'all right here because they didn't really do anything illegal. They just good planners like I am myself because that's where I used to work. In that paperwork that they have given the CIA and the NSA and everything is completely false. It's fabricated paperwork. All of it is. My entire story is fabricated, and that's how y'all got hustled. But you walked right into the trap. You're getting fucked, all of you. You're totally annihilated. You're totally destroyed. But see, I was hoping this would never. You ever heard of a sleeper cell? I was kind of hoping this would never happen because I was enjoying my life down on the bio. But I agreed to do it in South Korea with General Laporte and Captain Sims at Command Center Seoul. Yeah, you see all these names are just a little too good, and it's all very true. Yeah. You should have been paying attention as well as I was, but I was paying attention while I was paying attention. So you can just pay attention, but you can pay attention while you're paying attention. And if you can do the two at the same time, well, you'll end up knowing what the underlying algorithms were, and you can forecast the future in an illegal technocracy like I have done myself. And then I end up breaking my dick off in your ass to prove that you're all avatars and you're running an illegal government, which is an illegal technocracy, and it's not a democracy, which means you are all in violation of your oath to the Constitution, every single fucking one of you, because you have this evidence and you haven't distributed that evidence to the public while you continue to put the hood over their head and lie to them and rob them of their liberties. And you're all going to be exposed for that, every single fucking one of you.